Hello everyone. Welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. All the details are in our video, so stay with us to the end. And before we dive in, please subscribe to our channel and share this video so more people can join the conversation. Thank you for being here. The premiere that reunited Hazal Kaya and Kagate Ulusoy for a glittering night took a jarring turn no one saw coming. The grand launch of the new film, an ambitious project Kagate Ulusoy had been carefully shaping for months, drew Istanbul's most talked about names into one venue. Cameras flashed in bright waves as the red carpet filled with gowns and tuxedos, each guest seemingly determined to outshine the next. For a while, all anyone could speak about was the elegance competition underway. And then, in a heartbeat, the mood changed. As Hazal Kaya posed for the photographers, luminous and poised in a gown that caught every light, she suddenly wavered. What began as a subtle falter became a full collapse. People nearby reached out instinctively to hold her, and a sudden hush spread as she struggled for breath. The flurry of clicking shutters captured the startling pallor in her face, the way her eyes searched for calm amid the flashing lights. Event staff rushed in at once, joining her team to shield Hazal from the crowd and escort her to a quiet, private room away from the chaos. The moment he was told, Kagate Ulusoy left backstage at a near run. He had been greeting guests, overseeing last-minute details, making sure his vision for the evening unfolded perfectly. But none of that mattered when he heard Hazal had fallen. He reached the door of the private area with visible urgency, asking for updates before stepping in. When the press called out to him, he paused only long enough to say, in a voice that carried both control and genuine worry, "Hazal is very dear to me. Her well-being is all that matters right now." Those words echoed through the foyer, reverberating in whispers and posts, and drew a soft hush from the crowd. Inside, Hazal rested with her eyes closed, catching her breath as a doctor monitored her. It was quickly determined that she had experienced a brief drop in blood pressure, nothing life-threatening, but an unmistakable sign of exhaustion and overstimulation. The relentless pace of the day, the heat of the lights, the rush of attention. It all converged in a moment her body refused to ignore. After a short rest, she opened her eyes, steadied her breathing, and asked for water. Her color slowly returned, and those who were present later said the room exhaled with her. When Hazal emerged, the applause was instinctive. She moved with composed grace back toward the auditorium, offering a small, thankful smile that soothed anxious hearts across the room. She reassured everyone in a gentle tone, clear enough to be heard but intimate enough to feel personal, "I'm fine. I think the excitement just got the better of me for a moment." Her calm presence, as she took her seat amid warm claps and relieved whispers, became the image people could not stop replaying in their minds. Meanwhile, social media was already ablaze. As the screening lights dimmed, the question "What happened to Hazal Kaya?" began trending. Clips of her stumble, stills of her pale face, and screenshots of concerned expressions flooded every timeline. Yet the narrative wasn't only about the scare, it was also about the tenderness surrounding it. The way he looked at her, the way she leaned in to listen. The pair's long-fabled chemistry, born years ago on set and carried quietly through different phases of their careers, felt suddenly alive again. Backstage, a more intimate exchange unfolded that would soon ripple through the tabloids. Washed in the soft hallway light, Kagate handed Hazal a glass of water and spoke in a low voice people nearby could still catch. "Are you sure you're all right? If you want, I can take you home now," he offered, the words practical and protective. Hazal shook her head with a steady smile. "I don't want to miss this night. I need to be here." It was a brief exchange, over in a heartbeat, but it drew in every onlooker. Soon, whispers built into speculation. Was this simply old friends watching out for each other, or was something deeper stirring again? As the film unfolded, those who glanced away from the screen could see the tiny gestures, his quick checks to make sure she was comfortable, her nods and soft smiles that said, "I'm okay, keep going." The looks did not go unnoticed. And while many viewers focused on the performance and the meticulous craft of the movie, others leaned into the sweeping narrative being written in real time in the dark, one of care, attention, and unspoken history. When it was over, the foyer filled with the hum of praise for the film and relief about Hazal. Reporters clustered, searching for any detail. Hazal addressed them with a candid warmth that has always been her signature. "It's been a very busy period," she said. "Tonight's excitement, the lights, the rush, it just hit me all at once. I'm listening to my body. I'll slow down." She looked brighter, but even then, traces of fatigue framed her eyes, giving weight to her words. Outside, more cameras waited. She maintained her composure, answering calmly, and refused to let the moment turn into a spectacle. Meanwhile, Kagate joined a separate group of microphones and lights, speaking about both the film's reception and the moment that had overshadowed it. "We've waited a long time for this night," he said. "The support means the world to us. Hazal's scare frightened us all, but the most important thing is that she's fine now." It was the assurance everyone wanted, delivered with a sincerity that made headlines before the after-party even began. The celebration that followed pulsed with music and chatter, but the room felt different without Hazal's presence. She chose not to continue, opting instead for silence and rest. As she quietly slipped out, there were eyes that followed her to the door. Among them, more than a few noticed the way Kagate paused mid-conversation, his attention momentarily drifting. Rumor had it he excused himself to catch her for a brief goodbye outside, nothing dramatic, a few soft words, a protective touch. That tiny, fleeting moment caused a buzz in the crowd bigger than any staged tableau could have. Despite the jolt at the outset, the premiere retained its splendor. Many called it a landmark promotion, both for the quality of the film and for the raw humanity that emerged alongside it. People praised Hazal's poise and unwavering professionalism, even amid fatigue. They spoke about the sensitivity Kagate showed, not as a performance, but as an instinct. The red carpet scare, followed by unmistakable tenderness, gave the night a heartbeat that no one could have scripted. The morning after, the internet was a sea of rewinds. News outlets looped the footage of Hazal's sudden collapse, while fan accounts posted messages of support that multiplied by the minute. Her team released a brief note to calm the frenzy, a simple explanation that she had experienced a minor dip in blood pressure, undergone a check by a doctor, and was now resting at home. The statement was reassuring, but it didn't quiet the bigger question simmering underneath: what was happening between Hazal Kaya and Kagate Ulusoy? Leaked tidbits from inside the premiere poured fuel on that fire. Some guests whispered that instead of diving back into the party, Kagate had stepped away to ensure Hazal got to her car safely. Others claimed that later, away from the crowd, the two exchanged several messages checking in on each other. The warmth between them, so long the subject of nostalgia and wishful thinking from fans, suddenly felt immediate, real, and very much present. Comments exploded across platforms. "Is a new romance on the horizon? You can't fake that kind of concern. Their connection has never faded." It was as if the city had split into two films, one on screen, crafted frame by frame, and one coursing through the people who watched, feeding a story only they could author. Then Hazal, never one to hide behind polished statements for long, posted a simple photo from home, a sunlit corner, a cup resting on a table, a hint of quiet after the storm. Her caption read like a deep breath. "Thank you for the kindness and the messages. I'm fine. I think it's time I slow down a little." The comments poured in. Fans sent love. Colleagues encouraged rest. Some asked if stress had been building for too long. Almost at the same moment, sharp-eyed followers noticed a like from Kagate. Minutes later, he published his own message, "So grateful you're okay." Short, careful, and yet unmistakably intimate. Behind the scenes, columnists dug into the days leading up to the premiere. Sources spoke of sleepless nights and back-to-back meetings, of final edits and campaign discussions, of scripts awaiting decisions and brand negotiations extending late into the evening. The workload was intense, even for someone known for her discipline and stamina. The conclusion was both simple and sobering: the body always keeps score, and that night it chose to speak. And still, what most people remembered was not the collapse, but the recovery, and what flared up between them in its wake. Friends described Hazal's quiet humor as she reassured her team in the private room. Others recalled the way Kagate stayed attentive without turning the moment into a performance. The synergy between them, composed, protective, and grounded, became a story all its own, eclipsing even the red carpet's brilliance. By midday, think pieces rolled out. Some praised the way they handled the scare, calling it a masterclass in grace under pressure. Others reflected on the fine line between concern and spectacle in celebrity life, deciding that what unfolded that night never once crossed into theater. If anything, it felt like a door opening, not to scandal, but to something real and human, lodged somewhere between public fascination and private truth. In the evening, as the city's lights came up again, more details surfaced. A stylist, speaking off the record, mentioned how Hazal insisted on returning to the theater after resting, saying she didn't want to overshadow the film or disappoint the people who came. That same voice cited how softly she had laughed when someone suggested she head home at once. "I have to be here," she'd said. It mirrored the words everyone had heard as she took the water backstage, reinforcing the sense that, for Hazal, showing up mattered, even when she had every excuse not to. Meanwhile, those who know Kagate well described his protective calm as entirely in character. He has always been discreet, they said, and that very discretion only made the night's small gestures louder. Whether you took them as the marks of a treasured friendship or the first notes of something rekindled, the effect was the same, a stir of emotion that lingered long after the credits rolled. By late night, the premiere was being hailed as both a triumph and an unforgettable turning point. The film earned praise for its ambition and heart. The premiere itself was remembered for the way real life broke in and, for a moment, took center stage. It reminded everyone that behind the couture and flashbulbs are beating hearts and complicated ties that can neither be scripted nor fully hidden. As the week moved forward, those initial conversations did not fade. Snippets of new sightings were whispered. A shared car leaving a meeting, parallel arrivals at different entrances, a conversation stretched longer than schedules allowed. Nothing definitive, nothing brazen, but enough to keep people wondering. The city, hungry for stories that felt alive, clung to this one like a promise. Where does this leave Hazal Kaya and Kagate Ulusoy? If the night said anything, it's that care reveals itself in emergencies, not in grand declarations but in steady eyes and quiet choices. And as much as the internet loves to decide for them, perhaps the most honest answer is that their story, whatever it is, belongs to them first. What everyone else received was a glimpse of tenderness resurfacing, of old rhythms returning, of two people choosing, despite the glare, to be gentle with each other. We will be watching, as always, with the curiosity and empathy these moments deserve. If you loved hearing all the details, don't forget to subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets and share this video with fellow fans. There's more to come, and when the next chapter turns, we'll be right here to tell it.